everyone, it's Sarah from Sassy Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I've read in 2018. So, yeah, let's dive right in. The first book I want to talk about is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. I listened to this on audiobook, you guys. Now, you may have seen the movie. It came out years ago. I was in 6th grade when it came out. I'm a junior in college now. It's been a long time. So that means this is kind of like becoming like a classic piece, almost. And it follows a girl named Susie Salmon. Salmon, like the fish. And she comes from your typical loving family. And one day, Susie is brutally murdered by her neighbor. And this story follows the events of that tragedy, the pain and the suffering that her family goes through as they lose a piece of not only themselves but also of their dynamic, as they have been catastrophically just wrecked by an unknown source. They don't know where Susie is for a while, and then they eventually do. And justice is eventually had, but not through the justice system. And, you know, this is one of the most beautiful books I've ever come across. I'm a huge fan of Alice Sebold's decision to write this story, not from the perspective of just Susie alone, but from the perspective of all those who have been touched by Susie, even the boy who she kissed and had a crush on, her best friend, just everyone. And you can just see how they've all been touched. Even the boy's mother. It's just amazing. It's heartbreaking. It's beautiful. I can't recommend The Lovely Bones enough, because to me, it just completely took me by storm. Like, it was one of those books that I did not think I was going to love. I almost completely nixed checking out The Lovely Bones. I was like, I'm not going to read that book. That's not for me. Because I had seen the movie. But I'm doing myself a disservice by doing that, and I think you would be too. Because the story of Susie Salmon is not only just Susie's story, but it's the story of those that she has touched. And so The Lovely Bones is not only one girl's story, but an entire community's. And it's heartbreaking. It's beautiful. And, oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. And if you have an opportunity to listen to the audiobook, I think that would be one of the best mediums, because I thought it was beautiful. And I flew through it. And this is a pretty good-sized book. It's like, what, 500? No, it's 300 pages. Look at me trying to make it longer than it is. So it's a good-sized book. But I flew through it. I read it, I think, in 2 or 3 days. So I can't recommend it enough. You have to at least consider picking this up. And then the next book that I read in 2018 is a book that I picked up for Peter Likes Books book club. If you don't know who Peter Likes Books is, I'll link him down below. I'm a huge fan of Peter's channels. This is Heaven by V.C. Andrews. This is the last V.C. Andrews book that she personally wrote before she passed away. V.C. Andrews is kind of like a commercialized name, like up on the scale of James Patterson, but none of the books that are published today are written by V.C. Andrews, because she passed away like in the 70s or 80s. So like, she hasn't been publishing books for a really long time, but her family has the rights to her estate, and they hire a ghost writer. His name is like Andrew Niederman. And there's like some controversy in that, but you know. So Heaven follows Heavenly Castile. This is the first in the Castile series, which I think she also wrote the second book in that series, and the rest she had drafted, and so it was her ideas for that series, but the rest of it was not written by her. And she comes from like the backwoods of the Carolinas or something like that. It's not Louisiana, because the Landrys follows a Louisiana family. This one, it's like a bunch of Hicks, and boy, do they talk like it. Like, This is like reading Huck Finn. It is so dialect heavy, and it can be much. It's like, whoa. And, you know, she lives this horrible, tragic life where she's got like 5 or 6 siblings, and her dad is abusive and a drunk, and he's never there, and her stepmom is nice but not loving, and then all of a sudden everything goes to crap, and her stepmom leaves, and then next thing you know, her father is selling them off to wealthy people, and she ends up being sold off to a family, and then it gets really crazy. It got really dramatic really fast. V.C. Andrews is all about drama, like this intense, dark, gothic, over-the-topness, and she's always put in like these weird sexual situations, and I'm like, yeah. Like, she starts a relationship with her guy who like adopts her, and he's like 20 something, but like she's like 14. Ew. Yeah. So 3 stars because like it's trash and it's fun. That's the point of a V.C. Andrews novel, is to be trashy fun. But like, yeah, I didn't get anything out of it besides trash. The next book that I read in 2018 was called The Luck of the Bride by Jana McGregor. This is book 3 in the Cavendish Heiresses series. I haven't read the other 2 books in the series. It follows a girl named March, who has horrible luck, and she like is raising her brother and her sisters, and I don't really remember this one if I'm being honest, so I'm kind of like looking at my summary for it right now. Then there's this guy named the Marquis of McAlpin, and she's summoned to meet him, but it turns out that she's like been like kind of like swindling money from his account. Huh. Yeah. So like it's cute. It's nothing super groundbreaking in the historical romance genre. It was a fun time. I got it as a review copy from NetGalley, so I was like, I'm gonna read it. And I liked it. I didn't love it. The writing was really cringy. It was not good. I have a full-length review for it, so I'll just link it down below, because my eloquence has escaped me because this book is so unmemorable that I'm struggling to tell you what it's about. Sorry. So yeah, link down below for The Luck of the Bride, and you can go read my review if you're interested. Then the next book I read was a DNFer. I DNF'd this, which is Do Not Finish, because I wanted to. I got 133 pages into The Game of Hope by Sandra Gulland. This follows Napoleon, you know, the Napoleon Bonaparte, his like stepdaughter, and I was like, oh yes, like this is good, historical YA, yes, like let's do it. But I couldn't finish it, and I felt bad because it was also an arc from Penguin for the First to Read program. So like I was just down on my luck with arcs during that month. I think this was May that I was reading this. Yeah, she wasn't a good character. The writing was not good. I was not interested in the plot at all. I didn't even care that she had passion for music. I was like, this is making me feel impassionate about everything, and I just couldn't be bothered, so I DNF'd it. But I do think The Game of Hope will find people who love it because it's about Napoleon Bonaparte's stepdaughter, so you know, maybe that'll be your jam. Her writing style just didn't mesh well with me, and I was bored. I'll leave a link down below for that review so you can go and read my thoughts on it and see if it's something worth checking out for you. And so these are some of the books that I read in 2018. My favorite out of this bunch is The Lovely Bones. Just go read this one. Just forget about all the other books that I mentioned and go read this one. Let me know down below in the comments what are your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you down below. Bye and happy reading!